Welcome back to JDBC sessions. So far in previous videos, we have seen many things about JDBC, like connecting your Java program with the database, and we have also fetched the data from the database to the Java console. So we'll go back to that. And so this was the program which we have done so far, and we have got the output like this. Now, as we have come to the end of the table, we have fetched all the table, we have reached the end part of the table, that is the fifth row. Now again, if I want to fetch second row, or let me fetch first row using a method called as res.first. Now if I want to print the elements from first row, let me copy that and let me copy it properly and paste the print statement. We'll see if I could get the first row. Yes, I could get the first row. So how can I go back to first row? Say, this result set, as I told, RES is like a cursor. So once it is going to the last part, it will not go back automatically. We would have got error if we didn't had this result set dot type scroll sensitive variable used. So because of this variable, as I'm using inside the create statement, I could scroll back to the first row and I could fetch the first row. Suppose if I'm removing this, I can show you the result. Let me select and remove that. So we'll get error because, as I told, RES will not be uh, scroll sensitive initially. To make it scroll sensitive, to scroll it between, like say from top to bottom, I have to add a variable called type underscore scroll sensitive. So that will be present in a interface called result set. We have been working with that. So if I type result set dot type scroll sensitive, that will enable the result set to scroll over the table. So I have to add one more parameter, that is 0 here. The 0, why are we adding this? Again, it is a lot more thing. This cannot be told here. It will take another 30 minutes just to talk about that 0. So as of now, just understand. So the type scroll sensitive is a variable which is used to make the RES cursor scroll sensitive, to move from top to bottom, again from bottom to top. Now if I run this code, it works fine. I've got the first row. Suppose if I want to fetch the third row, I can simply say res dot absolute, and I'm going to mention the row number. I want third row, and let me paste the same thing here. Save it, run this code. I am able to get the third row. So this is how RES works, and you can fetch any data from the table. Even if there are thousands of rows, you can fetch any line or any row from the table using this absolute method. If you want to fetch the first row, you have first. So this is all the things which we have learned in collections. The same thing we are using it here. It is almost similar, everything. So if you're familiar with collections framework from Java, it will be easy for you. Now, next thing that we are seeing is metadata. What is this metadata? You would have heard about it. Metadata is nothing but information about the information. So if we take our table, it consists of information, and the information about this table, like say how many number of columns are there, what are the different columns, what is the type of the column, what are the names of the column. To have a information about the table, we call it as a metadata. So to use metadata, we have a method that every data is already fetched in result set. So I'm using that variable res dot get metadata. This is the method which is used to get the metadata. So let me store that inside a variable. Let me name the variable as MD, which means metadata, and it is of type result. I should give a reference as result set metadata. Result set metadata. Now this is usually will get an error here, but it is auto imported, so I'm not getting an error. You should import that as well from java.sql package. Now I have stored every information about the table into this variable, that is MD. Now if I want to get, say for example, I want to get the column count, I can simply say system.out.print md dot get column count. Now if I save this and run the code, I have 4 columns, so I got the output as 4. Similarly, if I want to fetch the column name, so I can simply say I want md dot get column name. I want, say, second column name, so I can fetch it here, run the code. It is nothing but name. If I change it to third column, our third column was our hourly pay from employee D table. So let me run. So it is hourly pay. So we could get it. Suppose if I want all the column names, you can put it under for loop. For int I is equals to 1 and I less than or equal to md dot get column count. That will be the range. And I plus plus. Put under braces. So I'll give it as I. Now if I run the code, you'll get all the column names: ID, name, hourly pay, and salary. So we can have many methods like that. If we simply type md dot get, we can actually get the catalog name, you can get the class, you can get the column class name, you can get column count as we have seen, display the size, you can get the column label, column name, column type, many things, get precision scale. So you'll get all the information from this MD variable. I've got the metadata and I've stored it in the MD variable, and it is of type result set metadata. So this is how we can completely get the meta information about any table. Now next thing is, suppose this is what we have done to fetch the data and print it on the console. Now if I want to insert the data, the query differs here. So let me create a different class to show it to you. My new JDBC. I'll create a different class and to insert the data. Main method, finish. Insert data. I've got a. So as we know how to establish the connection, let me copy paste the same thing from this. I want everything as it is from here to here to establish the connection. Copy and paste it. I've got a try block, and then I've got a try block and I need to continue with that. So let me continue with the code again. So now if you see here, so this try block should be having a corresponding catch block. I'll see. I'll simplify it as exception E. Should close one more bracket. I can simply print exception and stack trace. Save it. And now if you see here, so we have established the connection. Next thing is to write a query. So and next before writing a query, let me have a string, and my query here is to insert data. Insert into employee D. I need to specifically mention the column names, or else I can simply give values. I'll show you how to mention the column names also further. As of now, I'm just giving the values. If I see the table, it has got ID till 5. I can give it as 6 now. So let me give it as 6. It should be 6 comma, and you have to give name. Let me give the name as Ravi. So if I'm giving double quotes, obviously it will give error. I can go with single quotes better, comma, and hourly pay, let me give it as 400, comma, salary, let me give it as 78,000. Getting error here because I have not closed the quotes yet. Let me close the quotes. Yes. So I have closed the quotes. My query is ready. Now how to implement it? For that I need to create a statement. So how do I create the statement? I will say con dot create statement, and I'm going to store whatever the output of this into a variable called stmt, and it will be of type statement. Import this. Yes. Now to execute this, I will say stmt dot. If I use execute query, that won't work here because as we are inserting a values, instead of execute query, I need to use execute. and I'm going to pass my query inside this. So I've used capital S. To execute this query, yes, everything is fine. Let me run this program and see whether it gets executed. Yes, I'm not given any print statement after executing a query. Let me check my table whether it got inserted or not. Let me refresh the data inside the table. Yes, my new row got inserted. So this is how I can insert a insert many values into a row of a table. So if I am getting values from the user. Say usually when you have your own web application, so generally it will be like you from user we are going to collect the value and we are going to store it in the database. Say for example, login details of any user of Instagram. So that will be usually collected from the user and we are going to store it in the database. How are we going to do that? We'll be seeing in the next video. Stay tuned for the next video and follow Fortune Cloud Technologies, and hope you're finding it easy to learn JDBC. Thank you everyone. Stay tuned.